guys, let's get right into it as we're talking quarterback free agency moves because there's been a lot of movement. And so we're going to get to quarterbacks, then we're going to get to the 49ers moves and lack of moves. And then we're also going to get to the Seattle Seahawks, who have been making a lot of transactions as well within the last week. So let's start things off with the quarterback deals because as Adam Schefter of ESPN tweeted this morning, he gave a perfect summary of the deals that have been made so far. And we're going to get to one of them in depth with the Seahawks segment, but just a quick overview. Sam Darnold signed with the Seahawks for 3 years, $100.5 million. Justin Fields to the Jets for 2 years, $40 million. Daniel Jones to the Colts for 1 year, $14 million. That's a bit of a shocker. Jimmy Garoppolo stays with the Rams for 1 year, $4 million. Zach Wilson to the Dolphins for 1 year, $6 million. Josh Dobbs leaves the 49ers for the Patriots on a 2 year, $8 million deal. Jarrett Stidham stays with the Broncos, 2 years, $12 million. Nick Mullins to the Jaguars, 2 years, $6.5 million. And he also mentioned all the quarterbacks that are still out there, including Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Mac Jones, Gardner Minshew, Jameis Winston, Joe Flacco, Marcus Mariota, Cooper Rush. Jacoby Brissett signed today. Drew Lock, Trey Lance, Carson Wentz, and plenty of others. So, Kevin, I'm going to start things off with you in this segment. Just what's the best signing and what's the worst among the quarterbacks, in your opinion?
See, the best and the worst, it's kind of hard just because there's still so many guys out there. I was hoping, we would get the Aaron Rodgers news today. Jameis Winston is out and about still. We still have guys like Russell Wilson out there. But I would say the most surprising one was Justin Fields to the New York Jets. 2 years, $40 million, $30 million guaranteed. So I'm just going to take you down memory lane for Garrett Wilson since coming into the NFL, his quarterbacks that he's played for. Todd, do you mind keeping track of this for me? There's a lot of names. So 2022, Chris Streveler. 2022, Joe Flacco. 2022, Mike White. 2022, Zach Wilson. 2023, Tim Boyle. 2023, Trevor Siemian. 2023, Zach Wilson. 2024, Aaron Rodgers. And now 2025, Garrett Wilson. How many coaches is that, Tony?
Well, it's really 8 because you said Zach Wilson twice. So
okay, so he's played with 8 different quarterbacks since he's been into the NFL. We all heard the rumors that him and Aaron Rodgers didn't get along. And it was very blatant that if Aaron Rodgers was going to return to the New York Jets, that Garrett Wilson was going to request a trade. So you have if you ask Shaun and I, generational talent. I think Garrett Wilson could be one of the best receivers in the world. And as Toddy's showing for the audio-only listeners, he is put in the OHIO. Everyone knows me. That's real close to Shaun and I's heart, but I think Garrett Wilson's one of those ones. And he's been able to put up numbers, and he's kind of on the trajectory of Terry McLaurin. We say he's good, but his quarterback just sucks. And we saw this season what happened when Terry McLaurin got Jaden Daniels. So can Justin Fields – I'm not saying Justin Fields is going to be Jaden Daniels. I'm just saying it's better than what they got. It's crazy to think that the Jets won more games with Zach Wilson at quarterback than with Aaron Rodgers. So it's not a really high bar set. Justin Fields led this team to a 4-2 start. Russ comes back from injury, and Mike Tomlin doesn't even give Justin Fields another chance. Every time he's out there, he's running jet sweeps. I think he should have gotten a chance because if Gary will tell you best, as all Steelers fans will tell you best, they plummeted towards the end of the season and into the playoffs. And who would have known? Could Justin Fields have done anything differently? We don't know. We know that Russell Wilson was in there because he can push the ball down the field, and Justin Fields, I guess, can't. Shaun will tell you he has the most he's the vice president. No, the president of the Justin Fields fan club. So, Shaun, I have to ask you, does this travel to New York, or is the fan club over with?
This definitely travels to New York, even though Justin Fields is going to have to wipe away some of the stench that is the New York Jets organization. The fan club travels with Justin Fields no matter where he goes. And, Kevin, thank you for asking me that because that leads me right into my favorite QB signing and the worst because to me, Justin Fields is my favorite QB signing among all of these guys because you look at it and, yeah, you might be like, oh, Shaun, you're biased. You're the president of the Justin Fields fan club, the founding member of the Justin Fields fan club. And I'm on an island by myself. And that's all right. And it's ironic. I'm wearing the John Cena shirt, but I guess I'm wearing Jets green right now because Justin Fields, this is a good buy low move for the Jets. Yeah, you may hear 2 years, $40 million, and that's like, is that really buying low? His stock is low. Even with what he did with the Steelers, he never really got an opportunity. He started early on in the season, and then Russell Wilson, once he got healthy, it didn't matter that the Steelers were doing so great because everyone was saying, oh, well, they would do great with no matter who was the quarterback. I tend to disagree. We saw the Russell Wilson experience as he flamed out towards the end of the season. And so if Justin Fields was the quarterback, maybe they wouldn't have flamed out as much. And the Jets go from going all in on Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, that didn't work out. And also, now Aaron Glenn is the head coach of the Jets. He doesn't want to deal with Aaron Rodgers going on Pat McAfee and doing everything that Aaron Rodgers does. He wants a guy that's going to go in there, learn the playbook, and be a team leader. And that's exactly what Justin Fields can do. And Kevin, you were mentioning Garrett Wilson. Now they get to reconnect after their great days at the Ohio State University. Garrett Wilson is finally with a quarterback that he trusts. And for me, this is the best signing because when you look, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Mac Jones, McCorkle, he was a backup. So you can't even include him in the starting quarterback discussion anymore. But you look at the list of the signings so far, and Sam Darnold is really the only other starting quarterback that was signed other than maybe a Daniel Jones if the Colts decide to go that way rather than sticking with Anthony Richardson. But to me, Justin Fields is the best signing of these quarterbacks so far. Now it's time to get to the worst because I'm going to be real brief with this because we have a whole segment later on dedicated to the Seahawks. But based on that, you know where I'm going with this. Sam Darnold, 3 years, $100.5 million. I don't understand this for Seattle. You are giving this man top-tier money. Yeah, he may not be getting the Dak Prescott $60 million. And everyone's saying, oh, but he's so much younger than Geno. But to trade away Geno and to go to Sam Darnold, are you really upgrading? Is Sam Darnold, did he really revive his career? Or was it Kevin O'Connell? Was it the system that he was in? Everyone loves to talk about Brock Purdy and the system that he's in. But I believe that's the case with Sam Darnold. And he's going to get exposed. He's going to start seeing ghosts in Seattle. And I'll end my thoughts with this before we get to Jaevon, because I saw a 49ers fan page a couple days ago. Actually, no, it was yesterday. Nevertheless, I saw a 49ers fan page on X, and it was basically like amid everything that's going on with the 49ers, and we're going to get to them next. But this fan page basically said, oh, great, we're back to 2 automatic wins a year against Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. And that's a result of Sam Darnold and everything that we're going to get to later. But all of that said, Jaevon, when it comes to these quarterback moves, what intrigues you the most? Is it one of the deals that has been made? Is it one of the guys that is still out there? Just what's your general thoughts on the NFL quarterback free agency moves?
There have been a couple of different ones. Daniel Jones to the Colts, or Shaun mentioned it earlier. I think that's kind of saying that because based off of the contract, it's 1 year, $14 million. That's not backup money contract. Backup money is like $6 million. It's anywhere from like $6 to like $8 million. 14 is like, all right, this is like a proven deal. We need you to come in and win some games for us. So that'll be interesting to see. Kev and I both know Anthony Richardson was very much up and down in as far as fantasy goes for being a quarterback. Kevin's like, Anthony Richardson this week. I need him. And then Kev screaming at me on the phone, he can't hit a fucking 5-yard slant. So I love Anthony Richardson. I just think he just hasn't played enough football. He played literally 1 year at Florida. Freak athlete, can throw the ball a mile. Has the arm strength, all the tools. It's just his accuracy it needs to get better. Daniel Jones at one point in time won a playoff game. That's just facts. And he literally got paid off of that 1 year. And then ever since it's been all downhill. He did tear his ACL at one point in time. So last year was basically his year off of the ACL. And usually players off of the ACL, their first year, it's a little bit wonky for them to get back into shape. So Shane Steichen having a guy, experienced quarterback, veteran quarterback, Daniel Jones. I like their receiving core. I mean, they have Jonathan Taylor. They have guys like Adonai Mitchell, who I took a chance on fantasy last year. Film does show that he does get open a lot. Just the ball was not thrown in his direction. Josh Downs, Kevin is very much aware of. He's another guy in the slot that can make things happen. We all know about there's Alec Pierce on the team, and then Michael Pittman Jr. is a guy that their number one receiver. So we'll see what that offense can do. Justin Fields, Kevin touched on a little bit. We kind of really don't know what Justin Fields can be on a good team last year. He was 4-2 as a starter. Once Russell Wilson was healthy, I think that was pretty much the plan all along for Mike Tomlin. Whenever Russell Wilson was healthy to come in and play, he was going to play. No matter what the team looked like, no matter what it looked like on the field, what the tape said, Russell Wilson was going to play. Justin Fields, you could argue, didn't get a fair shake in Chicago. Chicago was just such a mess. They kind of just threw him into the mix of everything and said, Justin, go save us. And I don't know if the tools weren't really, he didn't have the supporting cast around him to make things happen. And then you see them get rid of Justin Fields and then Caleb Williams. They throw all these, receivers at him, a running back, and kind of, hope that things are better. But it was pretty much the same because the O-line was horrendous. So a lot of people says the jury's still out on Justin Fields. I was once a member of the infamous fan club on this show. I turned in my badge. It gave it to Shaun, made him
so much disrespect.
Hey, I passed up on my parking spot. I was there with you. We were all there at one point.
I named Shaun the chief executive officer, aka the CEO of the.
You guys are gonna be begging. You guys are gonna be begging, just like I told Gary when he went to Pittsburgh. Yesterday's price is not today's price. I'm telling you now.
I mean, Aaron Glenn is basically saying we're going younger. We need a spark, a starting quarterback. I think Justin Fields can maybe be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So a lot of people like Shaun are saying the jury's basically still out on Justin Fields. Can he play or can he play?
Yes.
We're going to find out this offseason. Because basically it's like, hey, Justin, we think you're better than the guys that are coming out. That's basically what the Jets are saying based off of this contract, $30 million guaranteed. A little bit more than what obviously Daniel Jones got, but it's kind of like around that same price. Like, hey, we need you. Justin Fields is kind of transitioning into that. He's probably a bridge guy, but if he actually can flourish in a system, then he's on one hell of a deal if it works out. Aaron Glenn is a defensive specialist, so maybe the defense gets a little bit more sustainability under Aaron Glenn, and the offense can do what it does because you got guys like Breece Hall, you got Kevin already mentioned, Garrett Wilson. I mean, they got guys like Malachi Corley, a rookie who I would have liked to see a little bit more from last year, but I think he can make a jump this year moving forward with no Devontae Adams at the helm. So very interested in that. The Sam Darnold signing was kind of weird. It wasn't weird. It was more like I thought he was going to go to Pittsburgh, but then as soon as free agency when Monday hit, it was like, oh, Sam Darnold, Seahawks. And I knew he was going to get paid a certain amount. I knew he was going to get paid like kind of what Baker Mayfield ended up getting based off of the year that he had last year. I get the last two games were really, really bad. If he would have played at least really good in the Lions game, which was the last game of the season, which basically decided if they were going to be the number one seed or if they were going to go on the road. If they would have played, like if it would have came down kind of like to the last second in that game, I think that $30-ish million is like 45, 46, like around that. But he didn't play that well. And he saw ghosts. And then he had another opportunity in LA. They were road favorites against the LA Rams. And all of the fire stuff that was going on in LA, a lot of off the field stuff that was going on in LA, kind of galvanized that Rams team into a victory. And Sam Darnold did not play well in that game as well. Had multiple turnovers from the start. West was punching the air probably somewhere. They didn't look good. And those two games remained on a lot of GM's minds. And so they kind of like adjusted, pulled back, and said, hey, there's only so many spots in the NFL at the quarterback position. We want to give you this amount of money. And basically, you're going to be our 3-year, we're going to have a 3-year plan moving forward. It doesn't help that they got rid of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I do think JSN, another Ohio State Buckeye, wide receiver, can be a guy that can step up and make plays happen, but I'd like to see what their plans moving forward at receiver will look like. I would imagine they would try to get somebody in the draft. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how good Sam Darnold is. What's Sam Darnold going to look like without Kevin O'Connell? Shaun makes an enormous point because once upon a time, he was in New York, the number 3 overall pick at USC. He's a legend. I think when he came out, he was so young. He's only 27, so he's our age essentially. So he's been in the league for a long time. And it seems like the Jets kind of aged him a little bit into like, this is like the dark side of the NFL. And when he went into kind of like a backup role, going to, the Niners, obviously, going, being with, the Vikings, I don't even think he thought he was going to be playing with the Vikings moving forward because they had drafted J.J. McCarthy. But J.J. McCarthy gets a torn meniscus, is out for the rest of the year, and they're like, hey, we need you to play. He comes in and he balls out. Won me a lot of money, by the way. Bet on the Vikings a lot this year. Shout out to Sam Darnold. But you got an offensive head coach in Kevin O'Connell. You got a guy in was he a backup for the Rams? Am I tripping? No, that was Carson Wentz. Niners. Kyle Shanahan kind of went there and kind of just took a back seat, learned from Brock Purdy, was on the Super Bowl team, and kind of just saw what it's like from a backup perspective, and going to the Vikings and getting inserted into a starter role in a great system. It helps him out tremendously. So it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like. Are we going to see Sam Darnold of the Jets, or are we going to see Sam Darnold of the Vikings? And the Seahawks are banking that he can be a Geno plus, because Geno got to the playoffs at one point in time. Now, Sam Darnold got to the playoffs last year, but can he consistently keep doing that? So can he? Geno won, I believe, in his tenure as a starter for Seattle, because he's been with Seattle for a while, ever since Russell Wilson was there. But as a starter, he won anywhere between 8 and 9 games, or 8 and 10 games every year. Can Sam Darnold consistently win 9 games a year, go 9 and 8? That looks a little bit more likely, but yeah, that's what it's looking like.
Before we move on, Shaun, Toddy was kind of shaming the Justin Fields signing. He said he only got that position because he was the best quarterback out of the bunch that was coming out of the draft. The New York Jets, have the 7th pick in the draft. So when you get to that point, you're stuck with guys like Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe. Now, if the Jets were in the top 3, top 4, do they get Justin Fields? I don't think so, because they can draft a young guy on a young contract. We all see that. And I don't know. I think that was kind of disrespectful, and I wish he would have been here to refute that. But Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe, I don't think are Justin Fields on their best day. So,
yeah, I completely agree. And the thing about this quarterback class compared to last season specifically, this quarterback class is much weaker. It's very top heavy. No shade on Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, but it's like, if they were in last year's class, where would they be ranked? And with that, context matters. I would say that last year's class was just great. And so it's not like it was an average QB class, but it just a big drop off when it comes to where we were last year in quarterback prospects and this year. And Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, they'd probably be 5th or 6th and still probably be a first round pick, if not the beginning of the second round, but they wouldn't be going in the top 5 last year at least. And so that's kind of just to your point there. where even with the 7th overall pick, you're still not really confident in who you would be drafting there. And it would be more so out of desperation and positional need. And so why not buy low on Justin Fields? So I love the move for the Jets. And Aaron Glenn is already turning around the organization. He just better hope that Woody Johnson, the team owner, keeps his hand. Oh, just bumped my laptop. Hopefully he can keep his hand out of the cookie jar and not be so involved, because Woody Johnson, you're going to do a comparison. You're going to do a comparison between the 49ers and the Sacramento Kings. I mean, Woody Johnson is very Vivek Ranadive-ish in terms of always having to be involved and always tinkering and meddling and not letting the people that he hired to do the job do their jobs. And so hopefully that is changing, but we shall wait and see. All I know is that I believe in Justin Fields. As we